Hi, good evening. Okay.
Hi, Rabbi.
Nice to see you. Hi. Okay. So here we go. Without further ado, we'll get started. The best thing, for having healing is to do teshuvah. It solves all your problems. And Torah study as well, of course. Because the Torah heals you, it heals your whole body. That's what it says.
Which sins are for the sinus?
Good question. I don't know about that one. Oh, boy, you got a good question there. I wish I knew. Okay. I have to study with the Arizal for about 20 years. Then I'll let you know if I get a chance. With Maran, I was with him for 15 years, but Arizal, I wasn't with him. I wasn't zoche to be with Arizal. Okay. Okay. Oh. Oh.
The whole family.
Yeah. Incredible stories. There's Rabbi is the one who wrote those books. It's like a series of books. I know him. He's like a friend of mine. I met him in Harnof. He lived there. So yeah, he was a gabbai of Baba Sali. He was married to his granddaughter. So he was one of the gabbaim there. So here we go. Okay, so where are we up to now? Sif Hey. So as we said, right, just to review what we said yesterday, in the Yalkut Yosef and also other books, right, what we find is that some of the things that we read yesterday, are not relevant to us. Like the witchcraft stuff.
Yeah.
Do it this way, not this way. The sequence, how to do. How you sit down and all that, right?
I don't know, maybe it's now because you mentioned about the school. You should be careful now.
So yeah, but they have a school, but they're not that strong. They're much weaker. They can't do that kind of stuff. They can't pull off stuff like that unless you are close in their vicinity. You know what I mean? Like you're their friend. You know what I mean? Then they can get you. They can pull you in. But be careful. Stay away from these people. Don't come into contact with them. So, right, what I want to say is that that Yalkut Yosef says also, regarding the issue of tefach and tu tefach, he says it's not relevant in our times because we can't really do it that way. The way we're clothed, it's just not possible. Whatever in some cases. But anyway, he says, try to be as sanu as possible. In the bathroom, whatever you can do, according to the situation that you're in. That's the thing, do the best you can. That's it, Yeah. Yeah, no problem, man. What are you gonna do? What? Just take a shower with shorts on? What are you gonna do? Right? That's not the way it's done.
What's the difference then?
I'm sorry. Because in the bath you have no choice. You know what I mean? That's the way of the bath, the derech of the bath. So nobody can blame you for that. Like in the old days they used to have public bathhouse. You know what I mean? Like the mikveh today. Same thing, right? There's like stalls of the showers over there. In the mikvahot, right? So a lot of people are naked there. That's the way it is. I mean, So you can't tell them over there in the mikveh, in the bathhouse. Oh, why are you naked over here? What are you doing? What do you mean? We're all naked. What are you talking about? It's like we're all in the same boat. Okay. So yeah, that's not the place to talk about things like that. Okay. Okay, so right. So now we're going to. You said what? Vav? You said?
Hey.
Hey. Okay. I'm sorry. We got tuned out over there. Sorry about that. We got disconnected somehow. Sometimes the internet is not so good. My house also had problems with it today. With the internet. Okay, here we go. Try it again. So Kishiyoshev, right? That's where it is, the tour. So we'll try that again. So it says like this, right? Kishiyoshev, you got the place, by the way? Everybody got it? Yeah. Try to be, right, your front towards the south, and your back towards the north, right? Or ifcha, or the opposite way, right? North, south, south, north. But not east, west, right? By the way, why is that? What's the reason why? Because that's the direction of the Bet HaMikdash, east and west, So you don't want to be facing that way. But we're going to see, if I remember correctly, this applies only in an open bathroom. We're not talking about a bathroom with walls and, closed. It's talking like in the field somewhere, like some open place. Because otherwise, the walls cover you. So what's the problem? You don't really care about that so much. Exactly what we said, right? That's only in an open place. It says. But in a place where there's walls around it, right? Partitions, whatever you want to call it. You go in bet hakiseh like right? Like your home bathroom, whatever. And we're not worried about these things. But he says if you're going, you're going to the field, to use the bathroom there. This happens, by the way, when you're driving, right? Sometimes you got to pull off, go in there, do something, whatever. So, so it does happen to us sometimes, this kind of thing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the scene.
So thank you for telling me. Okay. Let's go to Bet Yosef. So make sure you got the place there. It's Hey Aleph, right? I think that's what it says there in Bet Yosef. It should be right there on the same page. If I'm not mistaken. I can help you if you like.
If you share, Bet Yosef?
Right, Bet Yosef. Right, not Bet Chadash.
Yeah.
Not the Bach. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says, right, Yosef. Besot Perek Haroeh, that's where it is, right?
Yeah.
Brachot Samech Aleph Amud Bet, over there. Tanya, there's a bright top. Hanifne b'Yehuda lo yifne mizrach u'marav. If you're going to the bathroom in Yehuda and Judah, right, that's the south of Eretz Israel. Don't do east and west, right? Because that's the Bet HaMikdash, as we said, right? Elat Safon v'Darom, do east, north and south. Ubegalil, but if you're in the Galilee, right, Safon v'Darom, Asur. Then north, south is Asur. Why? Because that's placing the Mikdash, that direction, Mizrach u'Marav mutar, but east and west is okay because that's the Mikdash is south of that, so you're not catching the Mikdash if you're going east west, right? The Mikdash is like south, in the southern part. So it says mutar. The Rabbi Yosef matir. Rabbi Yosef is matir. Rabbi Yosef Omer, why? He used to say lo asur ela baroeh, right? It's only forbidden when you see it, right? In other words, as we said, right, when you're in an open place, I guess that's what it means. We'll see what that means exactly, right? So it says they only forbade it when you're roeh. Rabbi Yehuda Omer bezman shebet hamikdash kayam asur. So says Rabbi Yehuda, only when the Bet HaMikdash is standing, it's asur. It's forbidden. Bizman she'en Bet HaMikdash kayam, but if the Bet HaMikdash is not standing, mutar. Right? We don't really pass in this way, by the way. You know why that is? Because we hold that even the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, the holiness is still there, on the Temple Mount. So, we don't really hold like that. Rabbi Akiva oser b'chol makom. It says Rabbi Akiva, he forbids it everywhere, right? Whatever it may be. Rabbi Akiva hayno tanakama. So Gemara asks, right? Rabbi Akiva is the same as the first opinion. What's the difference between them? So Gemara says, Ika benayhu. You know what the difference is? Chotze la'aretz. When you're crossing the land, right? Whatever that means. We'll see. I'm sorry. That's not chotze. I'm sorry. I didn't say it right. Chutza la'aretz. Right? What does that mean? Outside of Israel, diaspora. In Rigo Park, right? We're talking about that, right? Mm-hmm. Or Los Angeles, whatever, right? Something like that. Okay, so Upiresh Rashi explains, Lo ifne mizrach u'marav. Don't go east and west, as we said, right in the bathroom. Achorav le'mizrach. What does that mean? Your back is towards the east, ufanav le'marav, and your face is towards the west. Ve'lo achorav le'marav, and also the other way around. Ufanav le'mizrach, the other way around as well. Yerushalayim be'eretz Yehuda. Why? Because Jerusalem is in the land of Judah. That's where it is. It's in the north of Judah. That's where it is. It's right in the middle of Judah and Benjamin, right? These two tribes, right on the border there. And it says there's also part of the land of Judah that's in the east until the end of Eretz Israel. In other words, the eastern side. Eastern shore, right? Whatever you want to call it. And also to the west as well. That's Sof Eretz Yisrael. So it goes like Judah goes from east to west, like it transverses the whole width of the land. That's what it means to say. So he says, Ad Sof Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Yehuda, Al Pnei Kol Orech Eretz Yisrael. Exactly what we just said. Mina mizrach le'marav, east and west, kitzua aruka uktzara. So what is it? He says it's like a piece of land, Judah, which is like long and narrow, right? In other words, it's like, it goes throughout the whole east and west, but not the north and south is pretty narrow. So it's like a rectangle, basically. That's what he's saying, right? More or less, something like that, right? So if you're gonna go to the bathroom, east and west over there in that place, right? Then what's gonna be is right that you're gonna be going towards Jerusalem, right? You making like that. Or your nakedness, I'm sorry, right? Your nakedness will be like that. Right? Or either what's in front of you or what's behind you. But if you're going north and south, that's no problem in Judah. But don't go toward Jerusalem.
So it all sounds like your bathroom should be in a place where it's not facing Yerushalayim, yes? Or when you
Right. But we're talking about, as we said, right, open places, right? That's the whole thing, right? I'm not talking about closed bathrooms. By the way, you should know that right next to the kotel, where you pray there, which is right next to the mikdash, there's bathrooms right there. But nobody cares about it because they're closed, So what do you care? What do you, these are with walls, So what's the big deal? What are you gonna do? What? Nobody's gonna go to a bathroom. What are they gonna do? Right? Hold it in?
Yeah.
You can't pray like that, right? So there's no other choice. Okay, so that's the way it is. So it says, אבל צפון ודרום יפנה בלבד שלא יפנה וכנגד ירושלים. ממש בדרומה של ארץ יהודה. But don't go towards Jerusalem on the south of Judah. בגליל שהיא בצפונה של ארץ ישראל. But in the Galilee, which is in the north of Eretz Israel, לא יחזיר פניו צפון ודרום. Don't go north and south, because that's you're towards Jerusalem, like that. That's what he's saying, right? I'm sorry?
Galil, the city Galil?
Yeah.
Oh. The truth is, there is no city called Galil. Galil is like a region, it's a northern region called the Galilee. Beautiful land, by the way. Beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's a vacation land over there. All the people vacation there. And also all the great graves of the Tzaddikim are there, in the north. They say, the Galilee is like one big graveyard. All the Tzaddikim are buried over there. Okay. One big cemetery there. But that's pretty much what it is. Okay, so Tzaddikim are there. You want to go to any tzaddik, you miss him, you want to meet up with him, go over there and you'll see everybody. Right? Whether you want to see Rabbi Akiva or Rabbi Meir, or whoever it is you want to see. Rabbi Shimon. Okay, so they're all there. Okay. Rav Nachman is not there, right? Too bad. What can we do, right? Rav Nachman is still in Ukraine. They wanted to move him, by the way, to Eretz Israel, but they don't allow. Some people don't like it, so it's still going on, this whole process. They're trying to move him.
By halakha, they sing.
Yeah.
Я вам звоню, просто так вам звоню.
It's a whole, just sentimental kind of thing going on there, like all kinds of sentimental things, emotional, stuff going on there. And also could be the government in Ukraine also, they're giving him a hard time. I don't really know what it is, but anyway, right? They really should move him, because it's a shame that he's over there, People tell me, by the way, over there, there's a lot of danger spiritually, a lot of dangerous stuff going on there in Ukraine.
What?
You gotta be. Ukraine is a very dangerous place. Not a good place there. I'm talking spiritually, right?
Yeah.
Now it's also physically dangerous to be there. You could get killed. You know what I mean? I'm talking about spiritually, it's dangerous to be there. I'm not going to get into it now. That's not the time, right? We're not going to get to that now. But recommended not to go there, by the way. Just you should know, stay away. Right? Don't go there. So, right, whether it's Rosh Hashanah or not Rosh Hashanah, don't go there. So, go to Eretz Israel if you want to go, or go to the Ohel, right, over here, Rabbi Lubavitch. Go and visit him if you want. If you miss him, go and visit him. What do you want? Why do you have to leave Queens? Okay, God bless you. So anyway, right, as we said, yeah. So the Galil, right, in Galilee we said, right, don't go north and south, but so what should you do? Go east and west, right? That's the way you gotta do it. So he says later on, we say in the Gemara over there, the Gemara, Rabba habu shadyan le libnei mizrach umarav right? Azal Abaye Shadinhu Tzafon Vedarom. Okay, so it says that these two rabbis did two different things, right? Rabbah would tell them to do it, right, east and west, and Abaye would tell them to do north and south, right? So why is that? Why do these two rabbis have two different advice, right? What's the thing? So it says, "V'darom ve'al Rabbah tzinu amar man dehai deka mitzarli ana Rabbi Akiva svirali de'amar b'chol makom asur." Oh, wow, that's very interesting. Okay, so there was some kind of an issue over here, We need Perush Rashi over here. Now he's going to bring Rashi, right, to explain this. Not so clear, by the way, what was going on here exactly, but Rashi will explain. So it says Rashi, Perush Rashi. You see where it is? Havu shadyan livnei lebenim sheoshev alehem lefnot hayu metukanot וזקופות על צדיהן, ראש אחד למזרח והשני למערב, לבנה אחד לצפון ולבנה אחד לדרום, והוא יושב על האחד ונפנה בינתיים, נמצא הוא נפנה צפון ודרום. So it says, right, like they had the seat, where you sit, like a toilet kind of thing, but in those days it was very primitive, not like what we have today, the fancy stuff that we have today, so it was very primitive. Basically, they would just place some bricks, one side the other, and they would sit on it. That was the way it was done, So it says, right, that you didn't want to go to east and west, so you placed them in a way, the bricks, that you're not going that way. The fish of Babel means why should he say that? Because they were in Babel, they were in Iraq, right? And Eretz Israel is east of Iraq. West. It's west. Iraq is east and Eretz Israel is west, relatively speaking, right? That's the way it is. So therefore, he told them not to do it that way, east and west, because you're facing Eretz Israel like that. So not to use a bathroom like that. You shouldn't be going towards Israel. So it comes out from this Gemara, right? That what? It's mashma, implied, the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, right? What does that mean? The Rabba savar because Rabba seems to hold like him. So what about a guy that used to go do the opposite direction, as we said, right? Not because he doesn't hold like the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva. He just wanted to see, right? Like, why did Rabba do it that way? So he did it in a way that it would cause, like, what do you call it? Like, criticism, They would criticize him. What are you doing, So he wanted to see if they would criticize him. The im lav, the chen pidesh Rashi, that's the way Rashi explains. The chen pasak Rambam. So Rambam paskins right from this Gemara. What do we see? Right, Minchot Beta Bechira. It says over there. The chen pasak v'samag, also in the smag. The chen yireh midi be'arif ve'arosh. Also, all these Rishonim seem to paskin the same way, like this Gemara. The chen kachem diber Rabbeinu, also Rabbeinu the Tur, paskins this way. Ela shaya lo lefaresh, but he should have explained that which is forbidden to go east and west, and it's mutar, it's allowed to go north and south. We're talking about a town which is on the east side of Eretz Israel, right? Then it's going to be a problem. Like Babel, the Perish Rashi, like Rashi explains. But if you're in the north of Eretz Israel, what would be an example, by the way? Like Turkey, right? Turkey is on the north. So if you're there, so it's going to be a problem to go towards the south. It's going to be your problem, not east and west. You know what I mean? So therefore, right, he says that. So therefore, it's the opposite. Then it's going to be forbidden to do north and south, as we said, if you're in Turkey. But east and west is going to be allowed. Like it says over there in the first opinion, explicitly. Also in the Galilee, right, which is in the north, as we said, so north and south is forbidden, and east and west is allowed. We're just repeating the same concepts over here, right? Going through the whole world. Yeah.
Would it be simpler just say don't face your,
Yeah, it's true, but
why
they have to explain to you the whole, the reasoning and the whole machloket and different opinions, So we're going through the whole thing. That's how the Gemara works, Gemara is not a kitzur, you know what I mean? Like do this and do that and that's it, right? Okay, let it talk. Have a good night. Doesn't work like that, right?
It seems like there's two opinions of saying the same thing depending on where you are.
Exactly, so that's why the Gemara is explaining to you, right? That's the case, you know what I mean? This is the way the Talmud is explained. it has like, it's like a puzzle, the Talmud, it starts out with some like, things. You got to put the jigsaw puzzle together, a little bit here, a little bit there, it all comes together, and all of a sudden, oh, you see, okay, it was a car, the puzzle was a car, that's the way they do it for you. So you know what it is for some people who don't have an analytical mind, it's hard to learn this way, especially women, by the way. Women have a problem with that, so that's why women, usually prefer not to learn Talmud. Most women don't like it. Only some women like it, like very, 10% maybe of the women like to learn Talmud. The rest of them stay away from it because they, it's like too much going on there, too much stuff going on. Contradiction, questions and answers, rebuttals, refutals, all kinds of things, right?
But
It's like
my question is, if both
Yeah.
of those rabbis knew exactly what they were talking about, don't face Yerushalayim,
Yeah.
why not just say it?
you know what it is. By the way, you know what the joke is, right? They say why they call Talmud Bavli, right? Because it says it's all Bavli. It's a language bilbul, it's confusing, like you get confused from it, like you learn it, you say, what's going on over here? Like I can't put this thing together. It's this one is saying like this one is saying like that, So what's the bottom line? What should I do? You know what I mean? So the truth is, that the reason why they wrote it this way, there's several reasons, but the reason is because this way you understand all the variables, all the sides. You get the full picture, how to manipulate and maneuver in that context. Go here, go there. What you do there? So the truth is, honestly, like if you learn the Gemara and you learn the Rishonim, the earlier authorities, and you learn the Shulchan Aruch, like we're doing now, pretty much that's what we're doing. You get a very clear idea of what you're supposed to do, like in other words, in every kind of scenario, even though it wasn't like explained to you every little word, but it gives you like a picture, like a diagram, like, oh, okay, if you do this, it goes like that. If you do this, it goes like that. And the Kitzur book doesn't give you that, it just tells you, okay, do this and do that, but then you don't know what to do, the variables change. This way it teaches you what to do with all the variables. So you can figure it out yourself, once you got that whole picture there. It's an interesting, when you learn from like this from childhood, by the way, you were a yeshiva boy, you know what I mean? You get used to it and then it becomes like second nature, like you don't even ask a question like that anymore, but when you didn't learn when you were a kid, what happens is that like you look at it and say, I never saw any text like this in my life, like that works like this. It seems to be like a very strange format, for people who never saw that.
No,
So that's still, that's the way.
I get the part, but just in this case,
Yeah.
the only variable here is facing Yerushalayim. It seems like
Right,
it's not
right.
faced.
But the truth is, there's several variables over here, all kinds of things, the land, which land are you in, which way you're facing, and also if you're in the open or in the closed area, there's all kinds of things going on, So anyway, right, let's go on. So they don't use, I'll tell you honestly, they don't bring the Talmud things which are like just, extra stuff. They only bring something that you need. So if they brought it, that means you need to see it. Let's put it this way. Like in retrospect, you will understand, like you needed that somehow, whatever. Okay. So otherwise they wouldn't bring it down for no reason. And by the way, what happened was like this, since a lot of people have problem with the Talmud, because it's so confusing, you know what I mean? And also it's very hard to figure out like what's the bottom line, like what's the halakha, Sometimes it's very hard to figure it out. They don't tell you explicitly what the halakha is. They give you opinions, this opinion, that opinion. So that's why the Rishonim, some of them, like the Rambam came, and like wrote Kitzur books because, this way, for a person who can't do that, you can use that, because it's too much for him, this whole thing. Can't figure it out. But here's the thing, for us, the best thing to do, from experience, experience bears out. The best thing for us to do is first to learn the Talmud, and we get all confused, and then we learn the Rishonim, and they settle everything, in that place. So this way, and then the Shulchan Aruch, Bet Yosef, everything falls into place, this way, everything is solid. This is the solution to that problem, the problem. Okay. So, and by the way, you should know that even though Talmud Bavli is very confusing, okay, but it is the most authoritative work, from the sages. So what does that mean? It was accepted by the Jewish people, the Talmud Bavli, as opposed to Yerushalmi, right, which was not accepted so much as the Bavli, and also like the Zohar, whatever, works like this, Midrashim. They're not accepted like the Bavli. The Bavli is the most authoritative halachic work. So therefore, like we spend a lot of time, like working on the Babli, because that's where all the halacha comes from, basically, like 90% of our halacha comes from there. So it's definitely a big thing, it's a big, they say it's like it's an ocean, the Talmud's an ocean. Okay, so let's go on, right? So as we said, right, that right. So it says like this, right? You shouldn't say that Rabbi Akiva ki amar b'chol makom asur. That when Rabbi Akiva said it's forbidden in every place. In other words, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Every place is forbidden. It's not only Eretz Israel, and that's how we paskin, right? Even in the Regal Park, you have a problem with that. So, right, lo ka'ela amizrach umarav. You may think it's only referring to east and west. Katane resha. The first part taught the Lord Safon B'Daron, not going north and south. The aim can because if so, ki makshir Rabbi Akiva ainu tanakama. Because when the Gemara asked, right, that Rabbi Akiva is like the first opinion, same thing as L'chora, apparently. It should have answered like this: the ha'ika benayu. Could have answered that this is the difference between them. The Tanakama, according to Tanakama, Yehuda Asur. In the Judah is Asur, Mizrach Marav, you cannot do east and west. The Shalat Safon Darov, you can do or north and south. Galil, but when it comes to Galilee, right, it's the opposite, right? Rabbi Akiva, Galil Haveifchas, yeah, right. Rabbi Akiva, Bechom Makom Mizrach Marav Asur. But for Rabbi Akiva, right, only the issue of east and west is forbidden. You may think like that. It's not true, but you would have thought that way. So there's also a question of the Rambam here. He also wrote like simply, this halacha. He only said east and west. And he said mutar ben Safon Drom. He said north and south is mutar, right? So he doesn't write any qualifications for this. Very simple, Why did he do it that way? Why didn't he say, it depends on where you are, Are you in Turkey? Are you in Regal Park? Are you in Los Angeles? Where are you? So, so it says it's possible to say that the Rambam is not talking about the east and west of the world, right? The Mikdash. It's talking about the east and west of the Temple Mount, whatever, the temple. Mentioned before, that's forbidden. And north and south, the Mikdash Kamar, the Sharet, which is allowed. So he's talking about relatively to the temple. That's one way to understand it. So he says that the land of Judah, was either in the east or on the west. Can I get Marav, which is towards the west of the temple, right? The sanctuary, whatever you want to call it. Or Mizracho, right? Or the east. Mishum hachi asur, if not sham. So therefore, you're not allowed to go to the bathroom there. Ben Mizrach leMarav, whether it's east or west, mutar ben Safon leDarom, but it's allowed when it comes to north and south. Uvegalil, when about Galilee, hayat Safono shel Odromo, can I get the Marav hayachal? So there, the north and the west was towards the west of the sanctuary, or Mizracho, or towards the east. Mishum hachi ben Safon leDarom. So it says, therefore, whether it's north and south, asur, it's forbidden. Because it's corresponding to the west of the temple, or Mizracho, or to the east. But when it comes to east and west, it's allowed. Because it's not corresponding to the east and west of the temple. Rather, it's going towards the north, or the Ramo, or the south. It also comes out like this from the Samag. If the text that we have is correct, it says, right? Right? It says that we don't make a bathroom like that. Why is that? Because the sanctuary, the building, right, the temple, is in the west. So it says, therefore, don't go to the west of the sanctuary. Right? Don't use a bathroom like that. Or the mizrach, or to the east. And since it says it's west, mashma de marav de chalkai. It implies that it's talking about the west of the sanctuary, the temple. So it says, this I have an issue here. It says, with this text, if so, it should have said like this, and also not to the east, right? Not the mizracho, to its east. But when it comes to the words of Rabbeinu, you're not allowed, you cannot say like that. שהרי לא נזכר בדבריו, because it doesn't mention in his words whatsoever, לא היכל ולא בני מקדש, doesn't say the temple or the sanctuary, doesn't say anything like that. So it's talking about the directions of the world, right? Not like what we explained over here. So it's possible that he holds that Rabbi Akiva, when he forbade the whole every place in the world, it's only going about east and west. It says in the beginning, like we wrote above, right? And when Rabbi Akiva asked the question, that the Gemara says, right? Rabbi Akiva and the first opinion are the same. It could have answered, there's a difference between them. Like we said, but it only answered like one answer, but there was also possibly another answer. And it says he brought it to explain like that, like we said in Yerushalmi, lo izkir chiluk ben makom lemakom ela satin betane. So it's not really giving you, right, again, the Yerushalmi also doesn't give you this differentiation, right, between places. It just says, right, simply, right, if you go to the bathroom, lo yitem panav lemizrach, don't face the east, ve'achorav lemarav, and your back in the west, ela letzidadin, and go towards the sides, right? What does that mean? North and south. According to this, he says the reasoning is like this: don't go anywhere in the world, east and west. Well, look what he says, right? So, in other words, here the reasoning is different in Yerushalmi. It's not because of the temple. You know, it's because of the Shekhinah. In other words, there's a concept like this that the Shekhinah is in the west. So that applies to wherever you are, you may be. The Shekhinah is in the west. But because of that, so therefore, as a remembrance for that, it's always forbidden east and west. In any case, any place where you are, wherever you may be. That's how it comes out from Rashi as well. Regarding putting your bed right east, north, and south. We're going to talk about that later on. How a person should sleep, right? Which direction he should sleep in. It's also discussion. Right, that's also where it seems from Rambam. He was also in that place. That's the language of Rambam. It says like this, right? Always, he says, the person is forbidden, sheifne or sheishan, to either use a bathroom or sleep. Going east and west. So what do you see from there? It's because of the Shekhinah, not because of the temple.
No, doesn't matter.
According to Rambam, right? Anywhere you may be. Doesn't make any difference where you are. I don't need to tell you that we don't make a bathroom like that. We shouldn't make a bathroom like that, east and west. Wherever it may be. Why is that? Why is that? Because the temple, right, is in the west. Therefore, don't go east and west. Because it's corresponding to the west. But east, north and south you can do. Also, you can sleep like that. So he says that seems to be the main pshat in the Rambam. Okay, so we'll see. It's a little bit confusing, right? What he wrote here, but in the Shulchan Aruch he will give you the final, conclusion, right? So let's look over there. Yeah. Did you lose me? Yeah.
No, not
Did I
that.
lose you, or did you lose me?
No, not that. After hey,
Yeah.
after hey, there's chet. There's seed chet. I think.
Yeah.
Hey, I think hey, Vav and Zayin are together. I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's another piece over there. I see that, but we can do that. We can do that later. Let's teach Shulchan Aruch first, and we'll come back to that. Afterwards, because we're gonna do anyway. Zion. So we're gonna do it with Zion. We'll do it there. So that's there's always a dilemma, by the way, in Beit Yosef. What to do first? Do this first, that first. You have to make a decision sometimes. Okay, I'll do this first, and I'll do that later.
You mean like sometimes
It's split up.
it
Splits. Yeah.
it contradicts with the two.
Not contradicts, but it splits. Like a split. Some of it is here, some of it is somewhere else. So you got to jump over. And so you got to make a decision what you want to do with that. It's okay. We'll cover it anyway. Whatever it is. Okay. So let's see Shulchan Aruch, which is hey, right, as we said. Give me a second. Here we go. Okay, so it says in Shulchan Aruch, even if b'makom megule, right? If he's using the bathroom in an open place, that's what we're talking about, right? As we said, if you've got walls, you ain't got no problems, no issues there. She'en bo mechitzot, there's no walls over there. Yichaven sheyu panav ladarom ve'achorav letzafon. So make sure, right? You're going north and south, right? Oivcha, or the opposite, right? South and north, whatever it is, right? Doesn't make any difference. But when it comes to east and west, asur. So you see, right? It's not really so because of the mikdash so much. It's because of the shekhinah. You know, that's what it is, right? That's how we pass it. So wherever you may be, it's the same. Right? Argentina, you know, wherever you are, right? Canada, whatever it is, right? Makes no difference where you are. Right. Exactly. So you know, it's only when you do that when you stop your car. You know, you got. So make sure when you stop your car, bring your compass. You know, make sure you know where you're going. By the way, the phones have a compass. You know, they have apps for that. You know that, right? Yeah. Okay, so you download the app. You know, if you're going to pee in the field, right? Make sure you know where you're going. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just to be clear, when it comes to like the open public bathrooms, it should
Yes.
be it should be like north and south, like whatever.
Right.
But in
right.
east and west,
We don't
like
want
a
that.
no.
Yeah, we don't want that. Right. The truth is,
Because-
you know, today the public bathrooms are never open. I mean,
No,
you don't find
yeah,
that very often,
obviously.
right? Only when you stop your car somewhere, you know, wherever something going.
Yeah.
Or you're walking in the field somewhere, you know, took a walk. You're hiking, right? Hiking, yeah? Going hiking.
God.
All kinds of stuff like that. Okay, good. So we got that. Let's go to the next one, right? Which is Vav. Okay, let's go to Vav. So we have here. It starts Delo Yashen b'mizrach le'marav. Right.
In Beit Yosef.
Right. I think it's also in the tour, no? Right. Where is that though? Yeah, I see it. Okay. It says Lo Yashev ben Mizrach Marav. You see that right? Where that is? Lo Yashev ben Mizrach Marav. The tour. That should be Vav, right? I don't know. Where do you have Vav? What does your Vav say? Huh? You got the right place?
Right.
You're in the Beit Yosef, right? Or Beit Chadash. Go on the tour, in the middle. Right, that's the tour. Yeah. Can you find tour Vav? No, you should. Right. Show me where it is.
Oh, there.
Got it?
Yeah.
So it says, "Aval lo yoshev b'mizrach ha'marav." Don't sit between east and west. Umiu davka kashenifne b'makom megule. As we said, it's only in an open place. But makom sheyesh mechitzot. When there's mechitzot, there's walls. You go on bet hakiseh shebet ha'bayit, like in the house. Inside the dakdek. Kashenifne b'sadeh. Right. If he's going in the field, is that?
This is already.
That's good. Okay. So let's go to Bet Yosef, right? Bet Yosef. It says, right? Umash katab delo yashen ben mizrach lemarav. Right. So to this bias it says yashev. Okay, whatever. There's two different views out there. Two different texts. One says yashev to sit, and one says to sleep. You know, I think sleeping is the more correct one. not to sleep that way, in that direction. Because what does it have to do with sinning? What if you're just sitting down? What's the problem? You're not naked, right? Whatever. So it's not. There's no issue. Okay, so it says like this, right? The bit you said. The lo yashin bet mizrach ha'marav. Efshar shehu mihad diita. So it seems to be that it's coming from the Gemara, the parak kama de berachot. The first parak of berachot. Hey amud bet. You see where the bet Yosef is? You got it?
Yeah.
Abba bin Yamin, right? So there's a rabbi like this with his name, Abba bin Yamin. Omer, Kol Yamai. So it says, all my life, Haiti mitztaer. I was worried about something, right? I had a problem. It doesn't say the whole thing, but I was always makbid. It says that my bed should be north and south, right? Not east and west. Again, right? Same thing because of the Shekhinah. Same idea, So it says, the kasheli, but it says hard for me. How does he conclude over there in the Gemara? This rabbi said, it says, right, if you put your bed north and south, you're gonna have boys, like good litter, of children, it's gonna be good for you. I have some good boys. The mashma de lav mishum isura kamar. So it says mashma that it's not because of prohibition. It's just the segula for having male children, boys. Everybody loves boys, right? The girls always get the bad bum rap. What can we do, right? That's the way it is. Okay. And so it says it's possible that the Girsa, the text over there, Rabbi Chama, this Gemara there, what Rabbi Chama said, Rabbi Chama, it said like this, right? It says Rabbi Chama, the Abba bin Yamin, and these two rabbis, Mishum Deika Isra, there's a prohibition, Aya Mr. al Davar. He was worried about that. But the Rabbi Chama, right? And then it's a different thing over there, different teaching, right? It comes to teach you about the children, having boys. In other words, two different things, these two things. I come to tell you, shame who is hard. But if you're going to be careful with that, to go north and south, you're going to have boys. And even if you're going to find me say, right, people say, this text was saying that Rabbi Chama said, it seems like he was explaining the Abash Binyamin Mishum Isura Aya Misael. Regarding Abba Binyamin, the problem was Isura, the prohibition, right? Umayte mid Rabbi Chama shenotnin sachar tov lenizar bedavar. So it says he brings it from Rabbi Chama that they give schar. So in other words, basically what bottom line, right? What is he trying to say? He's trying to say, right, that Laila Tov. So it says, right, like this, right, that basically what the structure is like this of the Gemara, right? First it tells you, right, not a good idea to sleep, east and west, right? Don't go that way. Go north and south. And if you're going to be a good boy and do north and south, you have nice boys also. That's the way to look at it. Okay, good. So, the truth is, it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch. We're going to see, right? Brought down. But there's a stira. In the Zohar, it says the opposite, right? Better to sleep north and west, So therefore, the poskim say, the achronim, do whichever you want, You want to do like the Zohar, you got what to rely on. You want to do like the Bavli, the Talmud, you got what to rely on. Either way, you're good. So you don't have to move your bed. You have to relocate, right? Refurbish your apartment. You don't have to leave it the way it is. Okay. So, some people, with the Ashkenazim, they do a compromise with the mezuzah, right? You should also your bed, like, a little bit north, a little bit north, south, like slanted. This way you get both. You know what I mean? Okay, that would be a big chidush. That would be a big novel idea. Okay, I don't think people are doing that today, but whatever. You never know. Because, with the way our buildings and city blocks are shaped, sometimes people are like in the middle, like not east, not west, like in the middle, east, northeast, southwest, the bed. So, okay, it's a compromise, like the mezuzah of the Ashkenazim. Okay, so what can you do? Whenever there Rambam, so it seems according to Rambam, shafilu adam levado asur yidishon ben mizrach ha'marav. Even if you're by yourself, meaning what? You're not married, right? You're just a single bachelor, right? Still, it's asur to do east and west, according to this. Aval at Tosfot, according to Tosfot, katvu sham. כל הנותן מיתתו בין צפון לדרום, So it says Tosfot, it only applies when you're sleeping with your wife, this whole thing. Why is that? Because with his wife he's having relations, you know what I mean? But if he's alone, he's not doing anything, you know what I mean? So it's not the same thing. Hopefully he's not doing anything, right? Not getting into trouble, right? This poor guy, right? Whatever, he's by himself. So that's the way it is, right? So Tosfot says machloket between Tosfot and Rambam. Rambam says it applies to everybody. Tosfot says only with your wife. Yeah.
I think you mentioned before that if there's a difference between Kabbalah and the Halacha,
You go like the halacha usually, right? That's the way it is. Yeah.
So if your bad is not.
What about in this case, right? You're asking, right? So here, you know what it is. It's not such a strong halacha anyway. You know, in other words, it's more like
Like a single.
it's not exactly like some kind of decree that the sages made. You know, whatever. It's just more.
Can we say it's like
You
a
know.
single man?
Yeah, it's like in other words, it's like semi halacha kind of thing. You know, like good advice. You know, good, proper way to do things. You know, but the truth is that, that it's a question what you're asking. It's a pretty good question. In other words, why don't we say over here? Let's do like probably what it is. I'll tell you why. Why do Achronim say that you can do either way? Because sometimes it's really not possible to change your bed. So it's like dochak. Like like how are you going to change your bed? Sometimes you don't have room to move it around. Sometimes the bedroom is small. So I'm sorry.
How does it invalidate the consequences?
The what? The courses?
The consequences of having the bed in the proper position. I mean, I know it could be impossible.
Right. So the thing is that we say that like you have what to rely on. There's the Zohar. Whatever. So yeah. So Elu divrei Elohim chaim. By the way, this what you're asking is really a bigger question. In general. In other words, when you have a machloket between two opinions, whether it's Kabbalah or Halacha, whatever it may be, right? Whatever you want to say. Sometimes what happens is, right, there's all kinds of rules in Halacha, the Shulchan Aruch, for instance, right? There's a rule. Stam veyesh, Halacha is like stam. You ever hear this Halacha in the Shulchan Aruch? Stam veyesh, Halacha kemo stam. You ever hear this rule? What it means is that if the Shulchan Aruch brings two opinions, you'll see that. We're going to see that several times, right? The Shulchan Aruch. It brings your first opinion, and then it says yesh omrim something else. Some say some say different way, right? So right. No, or first one says stam, no yesh omrim, and then it says yesh omrim. So what's halacha? Halacha is like the stam. Oh, good. There you go. Right. That's what I was saying. Right. Did you ever hear that before? Okay. So that's the way it is. But
if it's yesh omrim, sorry. No.
Right. Then we go according to the second one, right, or the last one. Okay. Good. That's good. Now let's get to a case though, you're right, which we and I was learning with our friend Jonathan, we're learning the laws of Gittin. So over there was a certain case they brought down there, which is, sometimes with Gittin, by the way, you have an emergency case. What's the emergency? You wrote a get, which is like not according to all opinions, it's like machloket, if it's kosher or not. So what happens is that sometimes you can't do a new get because the guy is already, gone, he left, whatever. Or there's a problem with the shipping, God knows, whatever, right? Or she already remarried, with this get that she got. She remarried somebody else already. So what do you do in a case like that? So the truth is, that sometimes what we do is when there's no possibility, to get another get, and that's all she's gonna get. She ain't gonna get another one. That's all she's gonna have. So we say sometimes, is that the stam yesh, the stam says this get is no good. Yesh says that's good to get. You know what I mean? But yavad, whatever. Right? So what we do is we say, we go like the yesh. In other words, even though that basically the halacha is like the stam, but there's a rule like this: when you have no choice but to do like the yesh, you can rely on that.
But it's only if you have no choice.
Right. So here we have no choice. You understand?
Yeah.
And sometimes also with the beds, by the way, as we said, it's very hard to move the furniture sometimes. To align it, the way you want. Sometimes you're gonna have to put your bed in the corner, like this way, Who's gonna do that? Who's gonna put his bed in the corner like that? Facing, So that's what I'm saying, right? That's why they're more flexible with this. You understand? Not to give you a hard time, because otherwise people are gonna be complaining. What are you doing to us? Making us crazy. My bed is in the corner, facing this way, facing out. So whatever, And also, as we said, right, it's not really so much of a halacha. It's more like a, segula kind of thing, more like a, like good advice, yeah.
You said semi.
Yeah, right. Semi-halacha, exactly right. One of those things, So it's, I mean, it's one of those things. But right, by the way, a lot of people are medactic on these kinds of things, in life. That's the way it is, They don't really care. They don't really give a hoot, about these things, so much. So we try to be as flexible with them as we can. But okay, so right, getting back to what we said. Right. So according to Tosfot, as we said, it only applies if you're married. You're sleeping with your wife. Why is that? So Shekhinah Shura ben Mizrach Amarav, because the Shekhinah is between east and west, as we mentioned. So it would be not proper, to sleep with your wife, facing the Shekhinah, it's not exactly covered. Because you're having relations with her. That's how it's coming out from Sukkim, says as well. So he says, really the custom is like Tosfot. What they're only makpid when it comes to being married. So it seems to me, Maran says, he says, because you know why? They're not looking in the Rambam carefully to see what the Rambam is saying. That's why they're doing like Tosfot. Right? What it says over there, the laws of the Rambam. Why? Because this Rambam is in the laws of the Bet HaMikdash. So a lot of people don't learn that Rambam, Bet HaMikdash. They say, what do we need that for, right? I'm not building Bet HaMikdash. What do I need it for? So they don't even touch that area, So they don't know what's written there. So he says, who learns? Look what he says. Right? Interesting, right? How many people learn in a generation laws of Bet HaMikdash? Maybe one or two people in a generation, the Gedolim, these big people, big Gaon. He knows everything, like Maran, Rabbi, he knew everything, So like that's something else. But we're talking about a regular rabbi, they don't know these laws. They're too busy, taking care of their community. They don't have time to learn Bet HaMikdash. So that's why he says they don't know these things. So he says, so says Maran, the proper thing to do is to be careful with the Rambam. So what does that mean? Whether you're single or not, be careful. Look what it says. Oh, look at these words, right? Why should you be careful like the Rambam? So he says, because the Rambam is the main posek in the world, Number one posek in the world. Amud Ha'ora, right? So don't mess with the Rambam. Don't mess with this guy.
But then,
yeah, what do you say about that?
Doesn't then contradict what we said before that the Maran Shulchan Aruch will not generally go with Rambam because what he says may not be applicable in today, like in the day.
Right, this is applicable, that we're not talking about something like that, right?
Okay.
But there are rules. We're going to read the introduction of Bet Yosef, by the way. We're going to see the rules over there. Remind me one day we should do that. I guess when we finish, maybe when we get up to tzitzit, we'll stop there. We'll do the introduction just to get into that whole thing. But anyway, right, the interesting thing is that what do you call it? That there's a simple rule, like usually in the Bet Yosef, in the halacha. When there's a machloket between Tosfot and Rambam, usually we go like the Rambam. So why is that? Because Tosfot, first of all, right, the Rambam was considered to be like bigger in halacha, than Tosfot. That's one thing, right? But also Tosfot is more like a perush, but Rambam is like psak halacha, like more, halachic decisions. Tosfot is more like a perush on the Gemara, more like a definite in the commentary.
Like Rashi.
You know what I mean? Right, Rashi, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So Tosfot and Rashi are like more commentary style, but Rambam is like psak halacha, it's not a commentary, so that's why it's more authoritative. So usually the rule is, that we go like the Rambam against the Tosfot. But the Ashkenazim, many times they go like Tosfot. You know what I mean? Against the Rambam. Why? Because the Tosfot was their rabbis. That's the rabbis that they went with. In history. Like Tosfot was one of the main schools of thought in the Ashkenazi world. So many times they go like Tosfot. But Maran, right? He holds that the Rambam is superior to Tosfot. Like when it comes to halakha, superior. Can't compare one to the other, right? That's what it is. Okay, interesting, right? There's a machloket about this, by the way. The Rosh, brings down just the opposite. The Rosh. He says that something powerful. He says, he says that even though we know, right? He says the Rambam, Maimon, says Rabbi Maimon, right? He was a big chacham and he was very wise in all the disciplines, astronomy and medicine, kinds of. He was wise in every discipline. The Rambam, he was very extreme. But he says we have a tradition. He says that Rabbeinu Tam and the Ri were bigger than the Rambam. So he says. So who's Rabbeinu Tam and the Ri? That's the Tosfot. That's what I'm talking. That's two rabbis from Tosfot, you know. By the way, Tosfot has many rabbis, but these were the two main rabbis in Tosfot, Rabbeinu Tam and Ri. So they hold that the Tosfot were greater, you know, these two guys, you know, than the Rambam. We hold the Rambam was greater, you know, Maran holds. So it's a machloket, you know, like everything else, it's a machloket. You understand? That's the way it is. Okay, so anyway, right, as we said, but Maran considers the Rambam to be the posek number one, you know, most authoritative posek. There's no question about that. Mimoshe ad Moshe lo yake Moshe, right? From Moshe Rabbeinu until Moshe the Rambam, there was nobody like him, you know. That's what they say, right? Okay, so just everything. Rambam. Okay, is that the end of it? By the way, is that the end of it? In the bit just now we have more, right? And that which he said, right, that should be north and south, the bed. Rashi explains, that means that the head of the bed, right, one is in the north and the other side of the bed is in the south. So says Rashi, it seems like the reason is because, as we said, right, that the Shekhinah is in the east or west, right? These two directions. Therefore, he says, so therefore, when you're doing your things like in bed, sleeping, and being with your wife, try to be in a different direction. You don't want to be in the direction of the Shekhinah. The Rashi explains the same way, right? As we said, right?
What does the Zohar say? Why is it?
Zohar, oh God, we have to look in there, to see the precise language. But it is quoted in the poskim that they hold just the opposite of this, right?
Who's facing the Shekhinah while you?
Yeah, it's interesting. It may be, by the way, that they hold. I have to see that inside, but it's possible. Zohar holds it's better to face the Shekhinah when you're with your wife, because you get the holiness. God, I don't know. I'm just guessing right now. Okay, but you have to see that inside. Okay, maybe, but I'll check that. Get back to you on that. So, right, okay, that's the end of it, right? So I guess we'll do the Shulchan Aruch, yeah.
There's also another like Yosef for I don't know. There's Zion. I think Zion is also with.
Right, we're gonna do that next time, Bezrat Hashem. So let's do now Shulchan Aruch Vav. And I guess we'll stop there. We're almost done. I kept you guys long enough.
No, it's exactly an hour. Always exactly an hour.
Huh? Yeah, it's an hour. Yeah, we're doing an hour. I have to. The truth is, I have a chavut at 10 o'clock also. So I can't really stay much longer. I have another chavut at 10 on Zoom. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, my friend Asher remember Asher, the dentist?
Continue.
Yeah, of course. We've been learning for 6 years. He's steady. He's a steady guy. So another Cohen, right? I'm always with Cohen and Levi. That's my mazal. That's my mazal. What can I tell you? Okay, so we're doing Shulchan Aruch, right? Dechen asur lishon ben mizrach u'marav. So he says, right, forbidden to sleep between east and west. Look what it says, right? Only if his wife is with him. But it's proper, he says, to be machmir also, right? To be careful, or even if you're not with your wife. Let's say whatever, you're a bachelor or your wife is away somewhere, whatever it is, right? Whatever it may be, or she's a nida, so you're sleeping in a different bed, right? So whether it's this or that, it says proper to be careful, like the Rambam as well. So basically, right, the basic halakha is like the sort, but proper to be also machmir like the Rambam.
It's very strict.
Yeah, it's halakha. It's true. You're right. It is halakha. It's just that it's not something so strong. Like in other words, there are things. Yeah. It's I don't know what to tell you. I have to look into it a little bit more. I'm just now conjecturing. But I have to pry into it a little bit more. This whole thing. Okay, next time, Bezrat Hashem, I'll try to get some information on this stuff. Next time. No, I never heard of this. As I said, right, when I studied this before, when I was in Israel, this material, I think I was using some book, maybe it was a Halacha Bura, and I was learning with that book, these halachot. And over there, he was saying, right, that because of the Zohar, you can do either way. That's how he passed over there. He bought from the Achronim, So we'll check that again, Melina. We'll check it out and we'll get back to you on that. let's see what the Yalkut Yosef says. Let's see what this book says. Some books, we'll take a random survey, right, and see what we can do. Okay, Chazak Baruch, Laila Tov.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for the Zoom people. We had Nisim over here. Nisim is here, and we had Daniel was here also. Okay, God bless you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
All the best. Have a good one. See you tomorrow. What do you say? What do you say, my friend?
I just want to be clear. So at the end of the day, Maran Shulchan Aruch said that east
Yeah.
and west that you should not sleep.
Right.
But with your wife, it's still best